horrible feeling to wake up every morning and your son's future is in the hands of a DA. That's a horrible feeling.
For the families of those 6 black teenagers charged with attempted murder, life has been a costly, emotional roller coaster. For Tina Jones, it meant mortgaging her small house to raise the $70,000 bail for her son, Brian. Other families had to mortgage their homes as well. The severity of the charges was surprising even to people in Jena's white community.
I'm going to tell you, I've talked to a lot of people here, both black and white. Everybody thought the charges were set way too high.
But District Attorney Reed Walters knew that Michael Bell had a record. As a juvenile, Bell had been found guilty of battery, and he had twice violated probation on that conviction. In an interview with CNN's Susan Roschen, Melissa Bell, Michael's mother, defended her son's actions.
The grown man was drunk and he was picking on those kids, and him and Michael had a fight, and he decided to go put a warrant on Michael.
District Attorney Reed Walters reduced Bell's murder charge to aggravated second-degree battery and conspiracy to commit second-degree battery. 6 months after the schoolyard brawl at Jena High School, Michael Bell was the first of the 6 black teenagers brought to trial. Key to the prosecution's case were statements, mostly written by student witnesses. And here's where it gets interesting. The one student who actually testified that Michael Bell had taken a swing at Justin Barker was one of the 3 white boys who hung the nooses from the tree. The trial took 2 days. Bell's public defender called no witnesses because he said he believed Walters had not proven his case. The verdict? Guilty as charged. In his closing argument, District Attorney Reed Walters told jurors that what happened at Jena High School was not a fight, it was an attack. Again, black activists like Reverend Al Sharpton began to complain of a double standard.
We're coming to appeal for justice.
Michael Bell was facing more than 20 years in prison, but there was no real punishment for the 3 boys who hung the nooses. To prosecute them, the federal government would have to prove there was a hate crime, but Donald Washington, the U.S. attorney, decided not to pursue charges. So the FBI believed it was a hate crime?
Yes, the FBI believed that we have the elements of a hate crime here.
Why did it stop there? Why did it go away?
Because these kids do not have the kinds of histories that we need to see in order to say, you know what, yeah, you're white, so we're going to prosecute you. That's not enough. We need more.
Washington also told me he had a talk with Reed Walters about the severity of the charges against the 6 black students.
The charge itself is under the umbrella, under the normal curve, albeit maybe on the edges of the normal curve, of the kinds of charges that he could have brought under these circumstances. Perhaps we may have gone a little bit farther afield from the prosecution standpoint than was necessary.
Now the story had become a civil rights cause. The black teenagers were dubbed the Jena 6. All of the 6 defendants found new lawyers, recruited by civil rights activists. Sitting in jail, unable to make bail, Michael Bell now had 5 new attorneys.
The fact that you had a schoolyard fight and you end up with a 16-year-old facing 22 and a half years in prison, that in itself was enough to stir anybody's conscience.
Up to this point, District Attorney Reed Walters had not spoken publicly, but he did send a fax to the local paper, the Jena Times, addressing those who he said, quote, have chosen to disrupt the activities of the school. He warned, I will see to it that you never again menace the students in any school in this parish. He added, I have never charged anyone in this parish based upon who they are or where they come from, and I never will. For months, those were his only public comments. Then one day,
Mr. Walters, I'm Fairfield for CNN. I'd like to talk to you about the charges.
He was leaving his office, but he did stop when we approached him.
Do you feel good about how the community is responding to this?
Absolutely.
You do. Do you see racial tension at all? You don't feel any racial tension?
Not from the people of Jena.
Then, the day before thousands of protesters were expected in Jena, Reed Walters held a brief news conference. Flanked by Justin Barker and his mother, Walters denied that his actions were racist. But he was silent when I tried to ask him about the remarks he made at the school assembly. Mr. Walters, did you say with a stroke of a pen you could change their lives?
It looks as if we're getting out of control. So I thank y'all for your no. I thank you for your time and your courtesies. I appreciate it.
Pastor Eddie Thompson is one Jena resident who believes there is racism in his town. He wrote on his internet blog, "I've lived here most of my life, and the one thing I can state with absolutely no fear of contradiction is that LaSalle Parish is awash in racism." Jena, he says, is really two towns. Blacks on one side of the main highway into town, whites on the other.
Your prospects for a future depend on what side of that street you're born on. And we want to treat others the way we would like to be treated.
Ahead. One town,
God will take care.
two realities. Blacks and whites talk about race in Jena.